Hey everyone, I appreciate you joining us today. I have an incredible tale lined up, one that dives deep into love, loss, and some unexpected spiritual revelations. Imagine this. A woman grappling with intense sorrow after losing her soulmate goes through a near-death experience that completely transforms her perspective on life, death, and her faith in Jesus. The insights she uncovers are truly enlightening and could shift how you perceive religion. But before we jump in, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell so you won't miss any updates, and give us a thumbs up to help us share more inspiring stories. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Nia Thomas, a 73-year-old widow residing in lovely Birmingham, Alabama. My life revolves around my 3 fantastic kids and my 5 adorable grandkids. For over 30 years, I immersed myself in teaching literature, and honestly, my life felt pretty routine. Whether it was running errands at the grocery store or taking leisurely walks at Cypress Grove Park with my dogs, that was my everyday life. Although I was raised in a Christian household, I wouldn't consider myself particularly devout. I occasionally went to church, but my faith wasn't a cornerstone of who I was. Now let's reminisce about my late husband, Elijah. We were sweethearts since childhood, growing up side by side, falling in love, and building a beautiful life together. He was more than just a partner. He was my best friend, my confidant, my safe haven. Our bond was admired by many, and while it had its imperfections, it was rooted in immense love, respect, and a whole lot of patience. But everything altered a little over a year ago when Elijah was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer and tragically passed away. Losing him was devastating. We had spent 41 incredible years together, and just like that, he was gone. Grief engulfed me, leaving me feeling lost, as if a vital piece of my soul had been ripped away. In the months after his death, I found myself ensnared in a profound sadness. Everyday activities like eating and sleeping became monumental challenges, and I lacked the drive for even the simplest things. My children tried to support me, but I pushed them away. I was filled with anger towards the world, and if there truly was a God, anger towards him as well. How could he take my Elijah from me? I never imagined anything extraordinary would happen to me. I always thought of myself as just an ordinary woman from a small town. Life has a funny way of surprising us, doesn't it? What I'm about to share completely transformed my perspective on everything: life, death, and those gray areas in between. It all started about a month after Elijah departed from this world, on what seemed like just another ordinary day. After what felt like an eternity, I finally mustered the courage to leave my house. I decided to head over to Cypress Grove Park, a place filled with echoes of laughter and memories shared with Malcolm. That park represented so much, especially the first time I confronted the reality of loss. On that particular day, everything changed for me. The morning was crisp, but those gray clouds hanging overhead added a sense of gloom, making nostalgia weigh heavily on my heart. As I walked toward the park that held our countless cherished moments, each step along those familiar paths reminded me of our time together. I thought of the bench where we shared our first kiss, the tree where we enjoyed those lazy weekend picnics, and the pond where we'd spend hours feeding the ducks. Without him there, everything felt so empty and desolate. I reached the Willow Creek bench, my favorite spot, and stared out at the water that reflected the somber sky. Tears fell freely as I grappled with the void of his absence. It was as if I was lost at sea, completely adrift without Malcolm by my side. Just at that moment, an inexplicable sensation surged through me. I looked up, squinting against the light, and there he was in the distance, a figure so familiar it made my heart race. It was Malcolm, that unforgettable, gentle smile lighting up his face. I knew deep down it couldn't be real, yet my heart held tight to the illusion. Without thinking, I jumped up from the bench and began running toward him, as if an invisible thread was pulling me closer. But the harder I ran, the more he seemed to drift away, like mist dissipating in the dawn. "Malcolm!" I shouted, my voice wavering between desperation and hope. Yet despite my cries, he continued to retreat, that sweet smile never leaving his face. Then it hit me. A sharp pain crashed through my chest, wrapping tightly around my heart. Everything began to fade to darkness, and my legs felt weak and unsteady. I stumbled and fell, the cool grass biting into my cheek. The last thing I saw before it all went blank was Malcolm's face, so close and filled with love and understanding. At that moment, I was oblivious to the fact that my body, worn down by grief, was giving in to a heart attack. Lying there in a state of unconsciousness, something extraordinary started to happen, an encounter that would turn my understanding of life upside down. Suddenly, I found myself floating, detached from any physical suffering, liberated from the constraints of my body. It felt like I had crossed over into a space of pure awareness, where the world had changed completely around me. There was a type of darkness enveloping me, but it wasn't the frightening kind. No, it was a comforting darkness, kind of like being wrapped in a warm blanket. Then, something drew my attention, a tiny flicker of light. At first just a pinprick, it began to expand and shimmer, inviting me closer, not through force, but through an intense pull that blossomed within me. As I drifted toward this light, it morphed into a tunnel, an ethereal passage ringing with vibrant energy. The walls seemed almost alive, pulsing with colors I'd never seen before. There were the deepest blues, richer than the ocean, greens brighter than the lushest forest, and purples that hummed like a gentle song. Each hue carried a distinct melody, creating a symphony of visual and auditory sensations. With each movement through this tunnel, a deep sense of calm washed over me. The weight of fear and anxiety started to lift away, and the grief I felt over losing Elijah shifted from an intense sting to a soft yearning filled with warmth and gratitude for the memories we shared. It was like gliding gently along a serene current. There was no rush, no tension. For what seemed like forever, I soaked in a state of peace. Then, faint sounds began to reach me, initially whispers that gradually blossomed into the most mesmerizing music I could ever imagine. It was unlike anything from my life in Birmingham. It felt imbued with pure love, each note embodying compassion and joy. And then this incredible sensation washed over me, an all-encompassing love. It was deep, complete, and so unconditional it nearly brought me to tears. I could feel myself cradled by the very essence of the universe, and in that moment it hit me. I had never been alone. Love had always been there, patiently waiting for me to truly see it. As I approached the end of the tunnel, the light grew brighter, but rather than blinding, it felt rejuvenating and welcoming. Standing there was a figure so radiant that looking directly at it was almost impossible. Its purity was overwhelming. In that moment, everything changed for me. I found myself in the presence of something extraordinary, a force beyond my wildest dreams. Then I heard it, a voice that felt like it was coming from everywhere, wrapping around me like a warm blanket. "Welcome, Naya Thomas," it spoke softly. "Are you prepared to see?" With that simple statement, the world around me burst into a kaleidoscope of light and love, taking me on a journey that would alter my entire perspective. As the brilliance began to settle, I stood in front of a throne. It wasn't anything like the ornate seats you'd find in grand castles or sacred places. This one shimmered with vibrant energy, crafted from pure illumination. Occupying that throne was an entity. No mere person, but a consciousness so vast and powerful that it felt as if it enveloped everything in its vicinity. The intensity of its light was staggering. I struggled to look directly at it, but it didn't hurt my eyes. Instead, it felt like my very essence was evolving to embrace the enormity of this experience. Without words, this presence reached out to me. Thoughts poured into my mind with astonishing clarity. In that moment, I unequivocally understood that I was in the presence of God. "You have many questions," the voice echoed within me. And it was true. Waves of anger, sorrow, and confusion surged, remnants of my grief over Elijah's death. I didn't need to speak. Every question I had was laid bare before this divine essence. Why was he taken from me? My heart ached for answers. Why such suffering? Why so much heartache? Then something remarkable unfolded. In an instant, my life began to replay. Every choice, every joy, every heartache. I caught glimpses of my childhood, the day I wed Elijah, and the births of our children. I relived every laugh, every tear, and through it all, the warmth of God's love was unmistakable, wrapping around me like a comforting embrace. "My dear Nia," the voice spoke again, filled with abiding compassion, "Elijah was not taken from you. He fulfilled his purpose on this earth. Every soul has its own path and timing. What you see as an end is simply a transition." As I absorbed this revelation, a sense of clarity washed over me. Life wasn't a random collection of happenings. Instead, it was a beautifully intricate tapestry where each experience and relationship held deep significance. I felt an intense ache within me, and just as I was about to voice my feelings, a wave of love washed over me like I had never experienced before. The pain you feel is simply a mirror of the love you once knew, God gently explained. It honors the beauty you and Elijah created together. And always keep in mind, Nia, love is eternal. It only transforms. In that instant, a heavy weight lifted from my heart. The pain remained, but it no longer felt like an open wound. It dulled into something more manageable. Imagine savoring a treasured moment with Malcolm that encapsulated our connection. And then in the warmth of that memory, I sensed God illuminating my impact on the world. I saw how my love for Elijah inspired our children, how my kindness reached my students, and how my own challenges provided important lessons for others. Nia, there's still a lot for you to achieve, God assured me. It dawned on me that my journey on this earth was far from over. Deep down, I yearned to stay enveloped in this comforting embrace of love and serenity. Yet, I knew I had a larger purpose ahead of me. As I readied myself to return, a powerful surge of divine love surrounded me, along with a gentle reminder. Nia, you are never alone. I'm with you always, in every breath you take. Feeling this, a soft tug pulled me back, leaving behind a profound sense of peace and clarity. While I lingered in this divine moment, something extraordinary happened. There he was. I turned and saw Elijah, looking just as vibrant as I remembered him from his healthiest days. His smile was radiant as he reached toward me. Without even thinking, I took his hand, and an overwhelming flood of love surged through me, so intense it nearly swept me off my feet. Nia, my love, he welcomed me, his voice resonating perfectly in my heart. It's so wonderful to see you. I longed to hold him tightly, to kiss him, to keep him close forever. Still, I sensed this experience was different. It felt much deeper than our earthly meetings. Oh, Elijah, I confessed, my voice shaking with emotion. I've missed you so much. Life has been incredibly hard without you. His hand gave mine a gentle squeeze, his eyes filled with understanding and compassion. I know, my love, he said softly, but I've never really left your side. I was always right here with you. In that moment, it dawned on me how true his words were. Whenever I felt an inexplicable sense of comfort or thought I caught a faint hint of his presence, it really was him, always around me. With the ache of loss still fresh, I asked, "But why did you have to go?" Elijah offered a soft smile. "Nia, we all have our unique paths and timings. My time here has come to an end, but yours is still unfolding, and there's so much love left for you to share." He then took my hand, and just like that, our surroundings morphed into something utterly magical. We found ourselves in an enchanting garden, bursting with colors unlike any I had ever experienced. The vibrant plants seemed to glow, as if the grass itself radiated light. Gentle melodies floated through the air, crafting a peaceful ambience that felt incredibly familiar. "This is my haven," Malcolm Pierce confided, his tone tender yet tinged with sadness. "And one day, it'll be our haven, but not just yet, my love." As we wandered through the thriving landscape, we reminisced as we used to do during our strolls at Cypress Grove Park. He opened up about his incredible new existence, filled with tranquility and love. He shared dreams of our future children and grandchildren, his face lighting up as he pictured their journeys. "I watch over them with a love that transcends earthly understanding," he said, taking both my hands in his gaze steady. "Nia," he said, his tone suddenly serious, "it's time for you to go back. Our children need you. The world still craves the warmth of your love and compassion." His words resonated deeply within me. The thought of leaving him again felt unbearable. "How can I move forward without you?" I asked, tears welling up in my eyes. Gently, he wiped a tear from my cheek and replied, "You will never be alone. I'm with you in every moment. Someday, when the stars align just right, we will be together again, forever." He enveloped me in a warm embrace, a hug that carried the weight of all our moments together, the laughter, the love, the essence of our shared life. It felt like a timeless connection, a cherished memory I promised to keep close as I made my way back to Earth. "Go forth with love, my Nia," he whispered softly. "Live fully, love deeply, and remember, love never truly fades." With those soothing words, I felt a gentle pull drawing me away. The last image I held on to was Malcolm's radiant smile, bursting with love and a promise of reunion. As I was about to leave that extraordinary place, I noticed someone approaching. They emanated a warm light that felt incredibly inviting. Suddenly, I recognized him. It was Jesus. However, he looked nothing like the familiar images you'd find in paintings or the stories from scriptures. This presence was far more real. With a gentle smile, he spoke to me, Nia, his voice a blend of comfort and strength. You probably have many questions about my teachings, don't you? I couldn't find the words. Being in his presence left me in awe, my mind swirling with the doubts I had held onto about faith and spirituality. A lot of what you know about me has been misrepresented over time, he explained. I didn't come to start a religion or create divides among people. My aim was to share love and emphasize the connection you all have with the divine within yourselves. As he spoke, it felt like he was peeling away the layers of confusion surrounding my understanding. Suddenly, my perspective began to shift as the world blurred around me. I started to see beyond the rigid rules and traditions that often cloud our clarity. With his calming influence, Jesus guided me toward a place of pure love, kindness, and inner peace. He stressed that spirituality is not about physical places or strict regulations, but about transforming our hearts and expanding our awareness. During our enlightening dialogue, he revealed profound insights about spiritual growth. He described how every soul is on a never-ending journey of evolution. Heaven, he said, isn't just some distant place. It's a state of being that we can experience through love and acceptance. What you're searching for, Nia, he said warmly, isn't a tangible entity, it's understanding, a deep insight into reality that helps us rise above our limits and truly connect with the divine. His words sank deep within me, resonating like they were being imprinted on my very soul. This insight wasn't just academic. It felt like an undeniable truth that filled my whole being. Remember this, Nia, he said gently, placing his hand on my shoulder. Real spirituality is found not in what you say or in rituals, but in the love you exhibit, the compassion you nurture, and the peace you cultivate within yourself to share with others. As I started to speak, he wrapped me in a warm hug, and in that instant, a wave of love and understanding washed over me. It felt like all my wounds were healing, and my doubts were simply fading away. Move forward in peace, Nia, he murmured, his back now turned as he took his leave. Keep in mind that I'm not just a faraway presence. I live within your heart. His final words cozied around me like a snug blanket, pulling me back to reality. I didn't just carry the cherished memories of our exchange, but also a newfound clarity that reshaped my understanding of spirituality and my connection to the universe. It was a peculiar sensation, being drawn back into my earthly self, almost like pushing through thick layers of existence. Each layer felt more tangible than the last. The brilliant light from that otherworldly place dimmed, and the familiar weight of my body settled back in. Suddenly, I opened my eyes to find myself sprawled on the grass in Cypress Grove Park, with a small crowd surrounding me. A park ranger was kneeling beside me, his hands firmly placed on my chest as he offered support. "She's back!" someone shouted, relief evident in their voice. The ranger met my gaze with a comforting smile. "Hey there, welcome back!" exclaimed Malcolm Pierce, his face showing the relief that matched everyone else's. "We really were worried about you." My throat felt like sandpaper, making it difficult to reply. Just then, a compassionate woman stepped forward, cradling a water bottle to help me sip slowly. Slowly, the reality of what had happened began to hit me. I realized I had experienced a heart attack in the park. Thankfully, a nearby guard had first aid training and performed CPR until the ambulance arrived. As they lifted me onto the stretcher, my thoughts raced. I replayed every moment, the tunnel of light, my encounter with God, my deep conversation with Elijah, and those profound insights from Jesus. It all felt so intensely real. Yet here I was, being transported back to the physical world as though nothing had changed. At the hospital, the doctors ran extensive tests. I was shocked when they told me that, despite the serious nature of the heart attack, my heart had escaped without any lasting damage. They called it a miracle. Lying there in that hospital bed, grappling with the whirlwind of emotions, I was met by my children. their expressions a mix of worry and relief. Holding my hand tightly, my oldest daughter Nia looked up at me, tears shimmering in her eyes. "Mom," she said, her voice quaking, "we were so scared we had lost you." As I met her gaze, along with the worried faces of my other children, a wave of love washed over me, almost as if I were seeing their true spirits for the very first time. "I'm here now," I reassured her softly, "and there's so much I want to tell you all." In the days that followed, as I regained my strength at the hospital, I struggled to find the right way to convey my experience. How do you even begin to describe things that seem beyond words? Colors danced in ways that seemed otherworldly, and a love enveloped me, vast enough to contain the universe itself. As I shared my story, I noticed subtle changes in my children's expressions. They might have doubted some of my words, but they sensed something profound had shifted within me. The grief I had carried since the passing of Elijah had dissipated, replaced by a newfound tranquility I didn't know was possible. Returning to Birmingham, Alabama, after my hospital stay felt surreal. Everything seemed transformed. It was as if I had put on a new pair of glasses. Colors blazed brighter, sounds were sharper, and every face I met glowed with that divine light I had glimpsed. It dawned on me that this journey was just beginning. I had an entire world to explore and understand, but one truth stood out clearly. We are never truly alone. The love that connects us transcends even death and endures beyond time itself. Embracing this realization, I felt prepared to embrace whatever life had planned for me next. In the weeks and months following my near-death experience, I noticed a dramatic internal shift. My view of the world evolved, as did my understanding of myself and my relationship with everything surrounding me. One of the most remarkable changes was a lasting sense of peace. The anxiety that had once gnawed at me, a feeling of something missing, disappeared. What replaced it was an inner calm that seemed to radiate from my core. Each morning, I woke up filled with a renewed sense of purpose, and gratitude spilled over for the gift of life. The little moments I had previously overlooked, a bird's joyful song, the rich scent of freshly brewed coffee, or a stranger's warm smile, now felt like daily miracles unfolding all around me. My relationship with my children evolved as well, deepening in ways I hadn't anticipated. As time passed, the emotional barrier that had formed after losing my partner slowly began to lift. I found myself engaging more deeply with my children, seeing them not just as my kids, but as unique individuals navigating their own journeys. On a sunny afternoon, while sipping tea on the porch, my daughter Nia turned to me and remarked, "Mom, something feels different about you." Her words made me smile, and I took a moment to reflect on how to articulate my transformation. "It's as if I've finally woken up from a long, foggy dream," I responded. "I've realized that every single moment is precious, and that everyone we meet has something valuable to teach us." This shift in perspective also extended to my spiritual views. I let go of the rigid doctrines that once bound me, instead finding a profound connection to the divine through the tranquility of nature and small acts of kindness. I even embraced meditation, a practice I'd never considered before. In those peaceful moments, I sometimes felt that familiar, loving energy reminiscent of my near-death experience. It was like a door had opened, revealing a part of myself that had been quietly waiting to be discovered. My physical health saw significant improvements, too. After my heart attack, the doctors were amazed at how swiftly I bounced back. I began to treat my body more gently, seeing it not just as a vessel, but as a sacred space for my spirit. To my surprise, I also became more attuned to the emotions of those around me, almost sensing their feelings as if they were palpable. This newfound empathy helped me connect with others on a much deeper level. One day, while wandering through Cypress Grove Park, where the echoes of my near-death experience still lingered, I noticed a young mother sitting at the Willow Creek bench, tears cascading down her cheeks. Instinctively, I approached her, offering a listening ear. She poured out her heart, sharing her sense of isolation and the weight of being overwhelmed. As I listened, a wave of compassion washed over me. I shared some insights from my own path, reassuring her that we are never alone and that love is an extraordinary force. By the end of our conversation, she wrapped her arms around me in a warm hug, expressing her gratitude for my presence in that moment. I found myself realizing that this encounter was likely tied to a deeper purpose I had been shown during my experiences, being there for others and sharing the love and understanding that I had come to know. Life began to feel like an intricate tapestry, each event and interaction threading together in a way that deepened their significance. What had once seemed like random coincidences suddenly shone with meaning, revealing connections I hadn't grasped before. It felt as though there was a rhythm guiding me, aligning me with the universe in a profound harmony. My views on death underwent a transformation too. Instead of the gnawing fear I once had, I discovered a new perspective. Death isn't an endpoint, but rather a passage. While I still mourned those I had lost, my grief became intertwined with a peaceful joy, a comforting realization that love endures beyond this physical world. One clear evening, I was lying in my backyard, looking up at the stars. An overwhelming feeling of connectedness washed over me, as if the entire universe was echoing within me. In that moment, I understood a vital truth that Jesus spoke of. Heaven isn't just a distant place. It's a state of existence we can access in our daily lives. This newfound understanding propelled me to find ways to share my insights, not through preaching, but by engaging in simple acts of kindness and genuine conversations. I began volunteering at a local hospital, spending meaningful time with patients who were nearing the end of their lives, offering companionship and solace. There was a memorable day when I found myself sitting next to an elderly man who was fighting cancer. He reached for my hand and asked, "You're not afraid, are you?" I smiled softly, replying, "No, and you don't need to be afraid either. This is just another chapter in our journey." In that moment, I saw a change in his face. His fear dissipated, replaced by a deep sense of peace. That night, he passed away quietly, and I felt privileged to have shared in his journey. As the months rolled by, my life transformed in ways I hadn't expected. People began to come to me for support, not because I had all the answers, because, honestly, I didn't, but because they could sense a calming energy in me. It was almost like I had become a guiding light, reflecting some of that divine presence I had experienced. Still, it wasn't all easy. The emotional tides could be overwhelming at times. There were days when I missed Elijah terribly, and the longing felt almost too heavy to bear. In those moments, I often questioned if what I had felt was real or just a product of my imagination. I found myself reflecting on the teachings of Jesus more deeply, particularly the idea that real spirituality thrives in the love we share, the compassion we offer, and the inner peace we cultivate. This wisdom served as my anchor, especially when moments of doubt threatened to overwhelm me. My transformation wasn't just a singular event. It felt more like a continuous journey. Each day opened doors to new lessons and fresh opportunities for growth. While I had certainly changed, that process was far from finished. Learning to appreciate the present became essential. I let go of worries about the future and the burdens of past regrets. Every day felt like a precious gift, a chance to truly embrace and express the love that defines our existence. About half a year after my initial encounter with mortality, I found myself facing it once again, but this time it came in an unforeseen way. I was driving to visit my sister in another town when disaster struck. A truck veered out of control and crashed into my vehicle. In an instant, my world flipped upside down, and the deafening sound of crunching metal filled my ears. Suddenly, I was elevated above the wreckage, watching the chaos unfold below. I could see paramedics rushing towards me, working tirelessly to free me from the twisted metal. Surprisingly, fear was absent from this experience. Instead, I was enveloped in a profound sense of calm and acceptance. That loving presence I had felt before embraced me once again, as if the universe itself was cradling me. Then I heard a voice, the same comforting voice that had guided me in the past. I recognized it as God's voice, and it offered me a choice. In that moment, clarity washed over me. I could choose to return to that radiant realm of love and light I had known, or I could decide to come back to my earthly life. My heart raced with the weight of the decision. A warmth, indescribable in words, enveloped me. There was Malcolm Pierce, his inviting smile beckoning me toward a realm of bliss. Part of me wanted to jump into his arms and stay in that perfect moment forever. Yet then I thought of my children, my grandchildren, and everyone I had connected with in the months prior. The realization hit me hard. I still had a journey to complete on this earth. With determination and gratitude swelling within me, I declared, I choose to return. In that moment, I felt the embrace of a divine presence, filled with a love so immense it was transformative. You've really understood the lesson well, my child, came a gentle voice. Life is a precious gift, an opportunity for growth, love, and making an impact. Hold it close. Just before we went our separate ways, I wrapped my arms around Malcolm one last time. In that embrace, I could feel the depth of our love and the memories we shared together. I'm so proud of you, he murmured. Live fully, love deeply. I'll always be with you. And suddenly, I was back in my own body, my eyes fluttering open to see the familiar face of a paramedic looking down at me. Welcome back, he said, his smile bursting with relief. In the days that came after, the doctors were astonished by how quickly I healed. They couldn't believe that I had come through such a serious accident with only minor injuries. They called it a miracle, but inside I knew it represented something far richer. It served as a powerful reminder of my purpose. This brush with death brought clarity to the lessons I had taken from my earlier close call. I recognized that life is incredibly valuable, with every moment offering a chance to create change. Once I was let go from the hospital, I arrived home brimming with determination. I made a personal vow. Each day would be treated like it was my last, not with fear, but with gratitude and purpose. Every conversation, every interaction became a special opportunity to spread love and make a difference. I started sharing my stories more freely, not to seek attention, but to provide hope and comfort to those around me. I noticed that many people in my life lived in fear of death, and I felt compelled to share the peace I had uncovered. One day, my eldest grandson, Elijah, gazed up at me with a concerned expression and asked, "Grandma, aren't you afraid of dying?" I responded with a warm smile, comforting him. "Not at all, my dear. Death is just a transition, much like falling asleep and waking up in a beautiful new place. Right now, I feel so grateful to be here with you, making memories." This second near-death encounter opened my eyes to a vital truth. Returning to life is like receiving a fresh slate, a new opportunity. I was resolved to seize this chance, dedicating each day to love and compassion. Reflecting on my journey brings me immense gratitude for every single moment I get to experience on this earth. It's incredible to think about the many people I've met along the way and the challenges that have pushed me to evolve. Even the joyful moments, those small bursts of happiness, add to the richness of life. My close encounters with death have reshaped my entire outlook. Imagine being taught that our existence goes beyond just physicality. It's our essence, our soul, that stands the test of time. Over time, I've come to understand that love is the most powerful force in the universe, capable of bridging even the greatest divides, including that of mortality. Life isn't just a series of random events anymore. It feels like a beautifully crafted journey. Each joy I experience, every challenge I face, and all the incredible people I encounter hold a definite purpose. Nothing happens by mere chance. Every moment carries weight. Spirituality, as I've discovered, isn't just some esoteric idea to ponder over. It's not confined to strict rules or doctrines. At its core, it's about infusing our days with love, nurturing kindness, and taking moments to connect with something greater than ourselves. Death, which once struck fear in my heart, now feels familiar, almost like an old friend. While I cherish life too much to wish for death, I've learned not to fear it anymore. When my time arrives, I see it more as the start of a brand new journey. The most profound insight I've gained: we don't need to wait for death to experience heaven. In fact, we can manifest glimpses of it right here through acts of kindness and love. A simple compliment to a stranger, offering a helping hand to someone in need, or actively choosing love over fear, these small but determined actions allow us to bring a little piece of heaven down to earth, helping us fulfill our true purpose. Don't get me wrong, I'm far from flawless. I still go through phases of doubt, sadness, and longing. Every day serves as a reminder of losses I've endured. Yet, I've come to accept these emotions, not as defects, but as rich threads woven into the complex fabric of being human. If there's one important takeaway from my journey, it's about the power of love. Love profoundly and without hesitation. Share your affection not just with those close to you, but with all beings around you. Acknowledge the divine essence in everyone you meet. Treat each day as if it could be your last, not with fear, but with gratitude and joy. Treasure the simple pleasures, a child's laughter, the sweet sound of birds chirping, or the warmth of the sun on your skin. These moments are precious and sacred. And don't forget the importance of forgiveness. It's a gift you give not just to others, but to yourself. Letting go of anger and hurt lightens your load. When you choose to forgive, it opens a door to a fuller, more vibrant life. Finding moments of tranquility in our hectic lives can feel nearly impossible, can't it? We often drift away from our true selves and that essential connection with the divine. That's why making space for little moments of stillness is so vital, just a chance to pause and be. Remember, you're never truly alone in this journey. The love that brought us into existence is all around us, binding us and awaiting us beyond this life. It flows within us, linking us to each other and to everything that breathes. Each day as I navigate my path, I see a fresh opportunity to grow, to open my heart, and to nurture love. Sure, the road ahead may hold uncertainties, but I welcome it with hope and comfort. Whatever challenges come my way, I know I am cherished and guided, part of a grand plan that's beyond my full understanding, and so are you. We all share that. Each of us contributes to this magnificent cosmic fabric, playing a necessary and meaningful part. Embracing this awareness invites us to share love and light wherever we go. My story is just one among countless others, but if it brings solace or inspires a thought in even one person, then I've touched a piece of my purpose here. In the end, it's about spreading love, casting light into shadowed places, and making a positive impact, no matter how small. So I keep moving forward, grateful for each moment, eager to learn from each experience, ready for whatever comes my way. I've realized something deeply beautiful. Life, in all its forms, is an incredible gift. I choose to honor that gift by embracing it fully and loving passionately until my last breath.